Yeah, sure. We see the
Okay,
PowerPoint.
sure. Okay. So what I will do is, I think last week there were people expressed, their need to go through the topics again. So I will start with last week's topics itself, but I'll do a quick rehash, and then I'll move to regular expressions for today. So last week, what we had covered uh, where like how what is natural language processing, where what are the applications of natural language processing, and how to read text files. And we saw how to read a single text file, and then how to read multiple text files in a folder. And if you have labeled data, that is like if you have a review and then you have the sentiment from the review, whether it's positive review or negative review, how do we when you have label data, how do you read the text file and also get the label out of it? That is also something which we saw. So I'll quickly go through that, and then I'll run a Python program to do the open file open close portion of it, reading of files, writing of files, before I move to what is called as regex, the regular expressions. So natural language processing, as I'll not get into the introduction part, but I'll talk about text file processing and regex. Okay, so the thing is, reading text file, we saw how it can be read from CSV file. CSV is a very simple thing. We use pandas to read, and I've given the code snippet here just as an example. And single text file, you open it and then have the syntax, give the file name, open it in a reading mode. Okay, and read that and close the file. Okay, and we need to do an explicit closing of the file if you open it this way, because a few operations like write are not completed, and there can be conflict when it's open in your program and some other program tries to access. So it's a good coding practice to close the file. And we don't know how garbage collection will work, and sometimes it might close all the files and you will not have the changes which you had wanted to put in. So this is file opening and closing. Or with this other syntax with open, this one automatically takes care of closing after your operations are done. So this is with respect to single file thing. The same thing can be done with reading multiple files. If you're storing all the files in one folder, what you do is use the operating system library from Python, get the list directory. That is, even though it says list directory, if you give the path, it's going to list all the files, and then iteratively go through the files and read them and append it to a particular uh, text file, and you can do whatever you want with that. So that is reading multiple files in Python. And then reading label text files, what I mentioned was like examples is like, so this is the review and there's a label here. How when you read it, it is going to come as you need to read the file with in this case it is going to be there are three files, so we are using the same logic, reading multiple files, and then we are reading the labels here, reading the complete text here including the labels. And what we do is, after okay, this is moved a bit, sorry. So after you have read, see if you after this is the example which is there. This is there, and these three are the first three lines in the text file which we have taken. So after you've read, what happens is this is how it will appear in the text file. So you will have the text, the review text, and you will have a tab because there is a tab here, and then you have the sentiment value which is entered, or the label which is entered, and then you have a new line character. So what you need to do is, these are single characters like tab or new line. So if you want to get only this, what you need to do is you use the indexing in list, Python list, and then get only this portion of it, -3 without any the first value, index value. And if you have the second index as -3, it means like anything from here, from the beginning till -3 from the end. -3, which is like -3 from the end. So it's going to be till this. So you will be able to read this text. So that is what you will give. And for getting the sentiment, the same thing. What you do is you have you just get the -2 value, which is like this is -1 and this is going to be -2. So you get the -2 value, you will get 0. So this is what you can split it into text and sentiments. And once you arrange it in a proper data frame, then you can do the required analysis. You can use this as the data with the label data, which you can feed into the model. And when there is a new review coming, you can conclude whether it is going to be positive sentiment or negative sentiment. This is what we covered in the last class. So I'll also go through like opening a file in few modes and then how these things are done. I have some examples which I'll show you in the Python um, IDE. So any questions till this point, or is there anything which you want to talk about?
I'm good. Thank you.
Okay, fine. Okay, with that, I'll move to the Python file. Okay. So what I have done here is I have created two text files. I'll tell you why I had created two text files. I'll come to that. Both contain the same content. OK, so it's something that is taken from Lucid Motors article. I took it from CNET, and just this para is there. OK, and both these contain the same thing. OK, what I'm going to do is read this file. So I found the working directory, and in this case, it shows this present working directory. And because whenever you give a file name, it is going to search for the file in the working directory. So if after you've placed the file in the right location, what you can do is I'm opening the file, and this is where I want to show you something. So what you can do is when you type a command, 1 minute, I will show you in a separate cell itself. Okay, so say for example, F2, I'm doing open. And after you do this, you press Shift and Tab. For a particular function, you will know the list of arguments which you will have to provide. Okay, there are many which will not be using, but what is important will be the file name and the mode. These two are very important. Default mode is read. So when you click plus here, okay, 1 minute, sorry, you get these things. So when you get plus and then you expand it, you will get the list of arguments and what each mean. Like for example, see here it's talking about this is going to be file name and the mode is going to be read. You have a few other modes too, and we will be prominently using in for NLP processing. We'll be using R, W, and A. R is for read, W is for writing, A is for appending. The difference between W and A is that W will overwrite the file's content if you're opening the file with W. That is, if there is content that exists in a file and you open in the W mode, then what it will do is it will delete the content of the file, and whatever you're going to write in, it will take in. But it will allow you to append to the existing content. So that's the difference between these two. Plus is for updating. That is, you can open it's not used as standalone thing. You use it for R plus or W plus. This is for both, updating, reading and writing. So these are the different modes with which like we can open. So for now, I'll leave it off and I'll move to, I'm opening this file in the text mode. Okay, in the reading mode, and I'm reading the content of the file. So using this, I'm reading the content of the file. And if I print, you'll see whatever is there in this file. Okay, so you will see whatever is there in this file here. Okay, and after you've read the file, what happens is there is a cursor position. So if you, for example, if you say f dot read again, okay, blank. There is a reason, because what happens is it opens the file, and then after you've read it once, what it does is it places the cursor towards here, towards the end. Okay, so if you have the cursor here, if you read, there is no content after this. So what it does is it shows a blank stuff after that. So for you to read it again, what you need to do is you should use the seek function, and this give the cursor position. What you do is you take it back to the 0th position, and then if you try to read, now if you try to read, okay, say okay, I'll run this, and then I will do f dot. Sorry. Read. Now it's reading the complete content. So what I've done is the cursor was here. I've moved it back to the 0th position and I've read the file. This might be useful in knowing, like, when you're doing multiple things, you can remember this. This is one point. And another thing is there is another there's a command called read lines. The difference between read and read lines is that read lines will separate the content with a new line character and give you a list of uh, lines separated by new line character. Like if you see, if I'm reading this and then I'm printing it out, the same file, what it does is, if you notice, there is a list here. Okay. And it is, all these are like elements of the list separated by commas, right? So you have, this is one element. There is a blank, which is another, because you have a blank space in between, right? You have a blank space in between. And then you have the next line will be this one. OK, and after that will be this one with a new line character. Whenever the delimiter is the new line character, so you can read it line by line. So for example, if I'm going to go to the second line in this, so then it will be this. So that's what it is showing. Actually, the third, actually, I'm using the index 2. So you can do it. And if you have, OK, this is what I explained before. I'll not go through this again. So this is the difference between read and read lines. And as I've mentioned before, we should remember to close the file after the operations are done. This is to prevent inconsistency in the file, to complete the operation we have done, and not to allow garbage collection to take control of this. And whenever you're using the file in some other program, there shouldn't be any conflict. So these are the reasons due to which you need to close the file. So what I did last week, I showed in a Python program. So with a text file example. So any questions till now?
No, Harsha.
OK.
Hello.
OK, so what is happening is, this is another mode. There is an append mode. What we will, I'll walk you through this. So what happens is, as I mentioned, append opens the file, but it allows you to write something to the file. Just as we are reading, we have a write command, so we can write something to the file towards the end of the file. So that's why when you open the file, then you try to read, what it does is, it is already position the cursor towards the end of the file, and that's the reason you're not able to read anything. And then move it to this, and then you do the reading, you can see the content. So that is where that is how append mode can be used. Whenever you want to update an existing file, you use the append mode. And if you're using, say, OK, I will use the write mode. So what happens is, if I'm opening in the write mode, you should be very careful. OK, when you open in the write mode. Oh, sorry, this is. Should be read and write, right? One minute. When you do it in the write mode, what happens is, it'll delete the content of the file. So for example, if you open it here, see, it has deleted the content of the file. So whenever you're using the write mode, you should be very careful about it. It will overwrite whatever the content was there. So if you really want to write to, overwriting the existing content, then you use the write mode. Since I use the write mode, it didn't allow me to read. So you can, after you, if you want to append to existing content, as I showed before, you use the append mode. So these are the different modes which we will be using for text file operations. So any questions till now before I move to regex?
Hello.
Yeah.
I see a plus. I don't know what that one means. Can you throw some light? And I saw some seek.
So pluses for opening it for updating the file. That is what it is, R plus and this one. So it allows you to do read and say if you're doing it this way, like it will allow you to update the file. Open a disk file for updating, reading and writing.
Oh, okay.
Okay, if this part is clear, then I'll move to this one. I'll move to the regex portion. Okay, regex or regular expressions. So this is also very prominently used in natural language processing. What are these? These are actually sequence of characters to create patterns, to create search patterns. You have text. So if you're, say, for example, um, if you're using if you're using a pattern, if you're searching for something, like in this case, it's a very simple one. If you're using something like phone as a pattern, you're searching whether there is a term phone in a sentence. So this is going to be, if this is the text which you're taking. OK, and if you're just checking whether this particular word is there, then what you can do is phone and text is what you can check, and then you will get the result. If it is there, it will show it as true. Otherwise, it will not show it as true. But what happens is when you have when you this is for, like, if you know the exact word, we can do this. But search doesn't, you don't restrict search only to that, right? So I'll come to that point, like where the pattern will be required. But here, if you see here, it's a very simple textual pattern. And when you do you import a regex from library and then you use a search, then what happens is it will throw you a result which is going to say um, what is going to be the span. When we say span, it is going to give you in this sentence, like what is the starting point where you can find phone and what is the ending point, like it is from 12 to 17. This is what is given, and this is the match that has been given here. It gives you the, if you assign it to a match variable and then search for the span, it will give you the exact location where it is there. OK, so and if you change the text and do the same thing, it is going to give you a different location depending on what contains. And search will always return the first occurrence, not all the occurrences. It will only return for the first occurrence. So what you can do is, if you want to find all the occurrences, if there are two terms, like if you notice here, what is happening is my phone is a new phone is a text. There are two places where phone is there, and I've used the same. I've used phone as the pattern to search. It is giving me only the result from the first one. OK, and what you do is, after, if you want to get the result from all the, if you want to find all the values are there, you use a find all command. So you take it here and then you will give matches will be phone and phone. You iterate to find what are the positions, like your
Hello.
if you say hello. Yeah. So you
Please,
use
can
a
you
find iteration command to get the span for
uh,
each of these. If you use a find all, you will get a list where all the where it is found. That is what you will get. OK, so this is for a text match, like just exact match of the text. You use a search, you use a find all, and if you want to iterate through the results, then you use find iteration. So those things will happen. But we know that in the text search, it need not be just the exact word search. You might have to search for a pattern. That is where regex comes in. When I say when you'll have to search for a pattern, like if you have a text like this, my telephone number is 408 just as an example, and you want to find places in the text wherever you have this type of pattern. You know that there is a standard pattern for four numbers. For phone numbers, it is going to be 10 digits, 3-3, and then -4. That if that is going to be there, if you want to search a particular pattern, then you use what is called as regular expressions. I'll go back to the slide to explain what are the possibilities there. You have like character, you have quantifier, which can be used. Like for example, you have \d to denote a digit, \w to denote alphanumeric, which will include both alphabets and numbers. S for space. OK, the same D with a capital is non-digit, not of this. Same W with capital is going to be not of this. Same thing for white space too. So you have a non-white space. So it's going to return all these things. For example, if I say my telephone number is this 408-555-1234, and you search, you express the pattern this way, regex pattern R, and then you give the pattern that is 3 digits, \d, 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 one \d for each digit, and then hyphen, do the same thing, and then search it in the text. Once you want to, it gives you the result. And if you want to, if you get the group is a function to get the exact result. If you call for it, then what you will do is you will get the term that matches this pattern. Say if you want to, if you have a speech which for which you're doing the analysis, and you want to find wherever the term like say president is mentioned, or if you're analyzing a series of tweets about a company, and you're looking for a particular reference to a product or particular pattern like hashtag in tweets, right? Say if you're talking about a movie, if you want to get all the Twitter reviews of a movie and it has been hashtagged with that movie name, then if you want to find that particular pattern, or if there is a phone number which you want to use, you can use it for all these possibilities. If you want to look at referring of a particular person's name in the text, or a person's name itself is in the text. That is, it need not be like you're not searching for Mr. Smith, but you're searching for anything that is Mr. something. Then what you do is you use a regular expression to derive like what the pattern will be, and then use that pattern in your text search. So that is where regular expression comes into play. So this will be very helpful when we are doing text pre-processing, and then when we are doing the model building for language processing. So regular expression will be an integral part of NLP. So you'll use these notations to arrive at like what needs to be the pattern that needs to be searched, and then use that. What you see on the right is the quantifier. These are the characters, and these are the quantifiers. What quantifiers do is, like, instead of giving you the making you repeat the digits, like repeat the characters which are here, you allow it. It's a simplified version. So what will happen is, like, if you say \d, and within flower brackets if you say 3, it means \d, \d, which is like it will look for 3 digits. So same thing you do, both these results will give you the same result. Sorry, both these statements will give you the same results. So these are very useful when we are doing this. And in the quantifier, if you see plus, it occurs one or more times. Like, for example, if you're saying \w plus, it means that it is like alphanumeric occurring many times. If it's occurring many times, then you can get a word out of that. And within flower brackets, if you use this, if you use a number, it means exactly that many number of times. Within flower brackets, if you're using 2 to 4 times, then it means that anything that is between 2 and 4, that is what you will get. 3 comma will mean, within flower brackets, will mean 3 or more times. Star is 0 or more times. The difference between star and plus is plus 1 or more times. Star is 0 or more times. And then question mark is once or none. This is for just once or none. If you say plurals and plural and then put a question mark, it's going to, if there's nothing after that, then it will show this result. Okay. So these are the quantifiers, and these are the characters. We'll use this for searching the text to get some information. If we'll have to do text pre-processing where we'll have to remove unnecessary information, we use regex. If you'll have to derive something from the text, if you'll have to search for patterns and then derive something from the text, we'll use regex. So it's a very useful utility. And there is a site called regex 101. So if you see this, you can select the language and then put the text here. Say, for example, I'll copy the same text. And then you can use the characters. So there is no match, 3 digits, no match. Okay. But if you see W, there should be matches the character with index. This one should be there. So you can use this for checking what is going to be matching, what is not matching. You can try it with the text before you see like what results are being there, whether your pattern is correct or not, and then use it in the code for you to do the patterning. So I'll pause here for any questions. Hello.
Does it allow, like, you have that one expression for the number of characters which says 3 comma and then blank which
Yes.
says 3 or more, right?
Yes.
Can we do like and the second example you have where you say 2 comma 4?
Yeah.
So let's say if I just do comma and 4, will it take like 1 to 4 or that's the error?
That's a good question. We can try it out. I think it will. It should take. It should take 1 to 4. I can try it out here. Say, for example, this is this. Okay. So what I will do is, I'll. What you're saying is here instead of.
Yeah, so maybe in the fourth one you can say
I'll try
backslash
this
d
out.
and then comma 4. Yeah, this is also fine.
And then
Comma 3.
I don't know whether. No, it is. No, sorry, I haven't run
Okay.
this program. It is giving this. It works without the first character.
Okay.
So 1,
That's good.
2, 3, it is giving this.
Thank you.
And there are a few other things too in regex when it comes to, few other possibilities. So I'll go through them once. If you're clear about this, I'll go through those possibilities, like how to use wildcards, how do you use, starts with, ends with, how do you exclude, all those things. So any questions about regex till what, for the topics which I've covered so far?
I'm good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, to me, you are going fast a bit, and I wanted to slow it down.
Sorry.
Then since you are going faster to me,
Going a bit fast is what you're saying?
yeah. It's fast. I find it difficult to follow some of the things.
Okay, you tell me which part you're not able to follow, and then we'll walk you through that.
Yeah, the beginning of this, I was able to follow up your thing. I think the beginning was the problem.
Beginning of what? Of regex or which
Yes,
one is?
yes.
Okay, so did you understand what what is regex? I mean, what we are talking about?
Question. Yeah. The pattern.
Sorry. Yeah, pattern. Right.
I don't
Okay. So what we are doing is, see, when you are processing text data, right? So we should be able to, the text data can contain stuff which you need. It can contain stuff which you don't need. So when you have items which you don't need, what happens is, like, you need to find them and remove them. And even amongst the content which you need, if you need to search for a particular pattern and then use it in the language model which you're going to build, for that, for both these things, you need regular expressions to be used. When you're saying regular expressions to be used, what I'm saying is you search for a particular pattern. How you say, for example, if I'll go by the phone number example which has been given here. My phone number has a particular format of, right? It has got first 3 digits hyphen, then 3 digits hyphen, and then 4 digits. Right? So if you are searching for the phone numbers in a particular text file, okay, so you cannot search with, like, find individual phone numbers and then give it as a search, right? So you're beating the whole purpose. So you need to have a way to search with a pattern, like if it will be first 3 digits hyphen, 3 digits hyphen, 4 digits. So for you to build that pattern is what you use regular expressions for. Are you with me now till now?
Yeah, I'm with you.
Okay, say I'll what I will do is I will I'll add some content here after this. Okay, this class is to explain
with
how.
the um, line 39. It said the array.search pattern. I realize that you assign phone to pattern. A pattern to, you assign phone to pattern, right? And then it said array.search pattern, comma text. So in place of the pattern, can you um, use the phone in the inverted comma?
We can do that. That's what we are doing here, right? So if you see here in place
Okay.
of the pattern, if you look at here, what is happening is instead of the pattern, I'm using the regex command.
Okay.
So here I had set the pattern in a separate variable and then I'm using it. Like for example, pattern is phone. It's exact text which I'm looking at. And instead of doing that, what if I need, if I have a pattern for the phone number, what I can do is I use regex, use that pattern and then search, and it is going to, return where it can be found and what the matches.
And so the
This
R is
line contains single match. You do a find all, then you will get it for all the things.
so the R is for the regex, right?
Yeah, R is for this one. Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much. We can continue.
Okay. Now that like we have looked at, and for you to derive the patterns, like you have, these are the possibilities which are there. You can use this for deriving the pattern, and for simplifying, like how many times something is repeating, or you want to you want to take care of number of times 0 or more, 1 or more, you use what is called as quantifiers here. So a combination of these two you can use for um, uh, creating the patterns. Okay, so I'll move to the text file. That was the last slide. I'll move to the Python file. So what happens is here you have few other options to which you want to use. Like for example, how you can use OR command for the pipe operator, right? So what I'm saying is here, if I use say R and within quotes like man or woman, this man was here. Okay, and then it will return here. It will search for whether it is, if the word man is found or woman is found, it will give you the result. Now what I'll do is I'll do a slight to change here. I will change it to woman here. Okay, it's still going to give you the result because it is either or. So you can use this for deriving the patterns. And then wildcard is use the dot operator. Okay, and it means that it is like single character and with anything that follows, like you mentioned it here. Like for example, if I want to find all words which have like 80 in the end and one character before that, like for example, cat, rat, and hat. So if I use that, then what it will do is if it use a find all, so it is going to return in this. You can see dot 80 pattern is follow for cat, hat, and sat. So what it will do is if you do a find all, then you will get this one. And you can use the same thing for more number of characters too. And this is like any character, which means like it can be space, it can be alphanumeric, it can be anything here. So here it'll throw what is happening here, right? So it will give you the result here. So if it's going to be, if you notice here, it's triple dots 80. So what it is doing is this 80 is taken including space, so triple dots will be e, so it's giving the result here. Same thing for a word to it does, so it gives the result here. And another thing is starts with and ends with something which you can use. If you, this will be very useful, and this is for the sentences. Okay, so dollar is used for ends with. Okay, and uh, you know what you look to the power of that operator is used for starts with. So if you have a line which ends with number 2, then what you can do is use it. Say that here it's number 2, but you can use it for, it can be any digit because you have used \d. So use that, and then any sentence which ends with a digit, it will give you that as the output. So that's what it'll show. Here it's a find all, so it is finding the actual thing and giving it to you. And here it is begin with, same thing here with begin with, uh, like ends with, you follow \d with a dollar sign. Here begins with, you have the power of symbol followed by the a digit, and then it will return like where it starts with. So that is there. And another useful thing is exclusion. That is, if you want to exclude, okay, so what happens is you put it with an square brackets and then use this command, then what happens is uh, it'll you can exclude the digits here. In this case, I want to get the result from this line, excluding the digits. So if I'm doing it, so what happens is it will remove all the digits and give you the result. Here it is giving character by character. What you can do is if you use the plus command, you can get it as the words, like you use the plus. If you remember here, we had said that plus is for one or more times, right? So what it will do is it'll combine the words together and give you the actual word, give it as list of words which are put together without the digits. So that is what will happen here. And you use the brackets for grouping operations. That is, if you want to find a pattern with a group, like for example, like here, this is um, hyphenated words. So you use the grouping of words, group of words plus one or more time hyphen this one. So in this, what we are trying to do is here in this text, we are trying to search for the hyphenated words, and there are two of them, right? You have hyphen words here and you have longish here. So what it does is if you use this pattern, use the brackets for grouping it here, give the text, and then it will give you the results, which is going to be like hyphen words or longish. This is what we'll use for grouping and getting the results. And here, if you see, if you'll have to find, what we use a combination of, or and brackets to get like terms which start with something but can contain something else also. So here, if you see, there are three text lines which I have used: catfish, catnap, and caterpillar. So what I'm doing is the pattern I'm using is starts with cat, find words that start with cat. It can be fish, nap, or claw. OK, uh, and give the text. If you do a search with the text here, what it will do is it'll give you the result, which is going to be catfish here. If you use the same thing for text 2, it will give you the catnap value. So this is also a pattern which can be used for searching through terms. So this is like good amount of use of regular expressions, how you can go through the text and use various options that are available with regular expression to find uh, what you would want from the text. It can be for finding patterns which you would want to remove to clean the text before you give it for the language processing model, or if you want to find the patterns within the text to pass it on to the language model for it to process. Both ways this can be used. So this is regex introduction. I'll pause here for any questions. I'll take that as a no. I presume everything is very clear about regex. Is that so?
It's pretty clear, Harsha, for sure.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot.
OK. OK, so Kader, these are the points which I wanted to cover today. I didn't plan a lot because last week I heard that we have to do a rehash, so I thought like uh, I'll I'll plan only fewer topics so that we can convey and people can get what we are conveying. So how do you want to go about it? Like we'll close the session now and then continue with the next set of topics next week.
Sure. So Harsha, just wanted to check with you. I mean, how many more sessions that you have? See, I'm also looking at the number of people attending, right?
Yes, yes.
So we have like 12 people. So what additional sessions that you have
So next is
planned for
text
this particular
pre-processing.
course?
Next is text pre-processing, and then you also have there are a few topics. It's the NLP. It's a big list of topics.
Just a minute. Sorry. My mic for some reason got disabled. I re-enabled the. So please tell me. Yeah.
So text pre-processing is the next portion. Like what you do is when you get the text files before you build the language model, what are the pre-processing things which you can do, and then you can look at part of speech tagging, named entity recognition. All those things were planned, and then you have the I wanted to do a sentiment analysis session, but now we are already like this portion was supposed to be covered last week. So we are already one session behind. So I'll have to cut the sentiment analysis. Even if you go full 4 sessions as planned, then I'll be covering text pre-processing and then part of speech tagging, named entity recognition, dependency analysis. Those things will be covered.
Okay.
Which will be prerequisites for before you get into language model building.
Okay. Got it. So just have a question, right? I just want to make sure that so you mentioned next week is a long holidays. It's better to continue, right? If we get a break, maybe it'll have further impact in the attendance, I think, right?
Yes,
so
we can continue. And
maybe
what I
we
can
can
also
like 45 minutes an hour, right? Instead of
yes,
1.5 hours, right?
yes, we can do it that way.
Yeah. So just wanted to make sure that Dimigo, George, Kapil, and the volunteer team, Neeraj, Samuel, just wanted to make sure that you guys attend next session as well. At least we can keep the continuity of this 12 people attending another couple of sessions, so we can close this masterclass. I think for some reason. This time, I think it's all online fatigue, Harsha. That's the answer, right? Pretty much. So just make sure that you guys are all there, and we will close next 2 sessions as planned. This program, and we will make some impromptu decision, Harsha, from the next session. Depending upon further attendance on this. Okay.
Okay. Sure.
All right.
And
So
the
close
files
this.
are already sorry.
Yeah, we can close the session for today.
Okay.
This is
So
good.
before we close, the files are in the same location. Mickey, I've copied the files already. So both the PPT and the Python files and text files are in the Teams folder.
Awesome. Those who do not have Teams access, please send your first name, last name, and email address. And also Mickey and operations team volunteers, if you find someone who wants to be added into the Teams, please do so before our next meeting, or maybe if we can do it by today, I would really appreciate it. So with that, Harsha, we can close the session. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks, guys.
See you guys next week. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.